Hi everyone, it's Garrett here at Eurovision Ireland again, and you might remember on Tuesday night we were with Jedward. Well, tonight actually we're here at the Trocadero restaurant here on St Andrew Street. I'm not sure if you can see around, there's some famous pictures of very famous people here, but actually I'm really excited because I actually have a fantastically wonderful Eurovision legend with me, Miss Linda Martin. Linda, how are you, my dear?
I am very well, Garrett. And it's lovely to meet you for the first time.
I know, we've been corresponding through emails and text
Absolutely.
messages and everything, so I tell you, if people were asking me, could I have your number? And I went, no.
Oh, no.
No, not a million years.
No. I'd be haunted because I'm haunted enough without you doing that to me. But it is lovely to meet you.
It's very nice
and
to
in this
meet you
place,
too.
which is this restaurant's a bit special to me.
You've had
really
quite a
is.
lot of memories here, and there's several pictures of you around here.
I've fabulous memories here from birthday parties to Eurovision celebrations, and just a couple of weeks ago when Jedward won with Waterline, I'd already been onto the phone to Robert to say, Robert, if we win, can you feed us at about 1:30 in the morning? And as usual he said yes. So there was about 25 of us descended just back behind you where you're sitting now. And we all arrived, 25s of the mammy and daddy and the backing singers, and Louis came in, and there we sat and celebrated. And Robert very kindly had menus printed out with Waterline and Jedward 2012, and the special menu. It was really brilliant. But yes, lovely memories of this place. And if you look behind me, there's a rather large photograph with 3 winners, and Johnny Healy, who wrote one of the winning songs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a classic photograph, that is, actually. And I think we've touched on it just there now. You have such a huge pedigree of being in Eurovision, whether or not it be in Ireland or in the Euro song, but also at Eurovision itself. So I suppose just for some of our viewers who are new to Eurovision, I think we'd like to sort of revisit some past experiences that you've had at Eurovision. And I suppose the first one that everybody remembers is 1984 with Terminal 3, when the contest was held in Luxembourg that year, and you had a major battle on your hands between Diggy Lou, Diggy Lay from Herräng from Sweden that year. How did you feel throughout the actual concert, or throughout the actual contest itself that year?
Well, if I can be very honest with you,
yes.
I was green as the cabbage is right. And we went, and I certainly didn't expect to win. That was news to me when we finally arrived, and people said, oh, Terminal 3, that's a good chance of winning. And then in those days it was completely different because we had all of the press.
Right.
Huge press contingency from all over Europe, but especially the UK as well. So this was a big deal.
Big deal.
And suddenly we found that Terminal 3 was in the running. And then when the contest started that night, there we all were. If you look at the footage,
remember, yeah.
We were all sitting in the high back, rigid chairs. There we are. And the lovely Tom McGrath was sitting beside me.
That's correct.
And God rest him. But he was such a friend and just a wonderful man with pushing Eurovision and pushing you people to the front. And suddenly we found the first vote and we got 12 points. And you sort of go, oh, here we go. And we led the whole way through until Portugal didn't vote at the end.
That was such a killer.
And you just sort of, I think I was shell-shocked anyway because I didn't expect it, and then suddenly good things are happening. But my cousin was working in a hotel in London after that, and a bunch of Portuguese tourists came in, and he went for them. You can carry your own baggage. He said, you didn't vote for my cousin. And he walked off and left them. And it's just so stupid, but people were well caught up in that.
That's one of my earliest memories from Eurovision, and I remember the whole family being crowded around the TV, and myself and my mother, God rest her, were on the edge of our seats because we said, we're going to do it. And as you said, the very last. How did you feel when it was just like sort of almost in your grasp and taken away?
I don't know. I honestly don't know how I felt because it was all happening and it hadn't been expected. And then afterwards, I do remember one thing, that afterwards we'd been treated so well. I mean, it was an incredible experience for us. But afterwards, I don't know where the Herrays went to, but I remember Johnny Logan taking me by the hand. And he said, right, now we're going to the big reception. And the two of us started to walk down through the crowd, and the crowd all started applauding and everything, and it was just a lovely experience.
I think I think the crowd reaction on the night after your performance, particularly, it was the loudest. Really was the loudest, and I think a lot of people thought, okay, this is our year.
Do you know who did the movements?
Who?
Well, it was a guy called Vincent O'Neill, who had trained with Marcel Marceau.
No way.
Yeah, absolutely. And he'd also done training with another guy called Lindsay Kemp, who was David Bowie's sort of mentor type.
That's
yes.
right.
So Vincent, I think I'm not sure if Vincent's still living in Ireland, but a lovely guy and fabulous actor. But Shay Healy said, look, this guy could teach you some mime movements, which might work out with the Terminal 3 business. Now, I don't know whether it did or not, but anyway,
Sure.
but that's who did the movements for Terminal 3.
Wow, fantastic.
Real nice guy.
I suppose then, between, I think a lot of people might not know then that you're actually the number one artist in Ireland for being in the most Eurosong finals.
Yeah.
No.
I know that. I've heard that before. But you see, you've got to realise that I'm not a singer-songwriter.
Right.
And for me, to get out of Ireland and get up that ladder was to win the Eurovision, because in those days, you've got to remember, it was a huge event.
Massive event.
And you were suddenly, overnight, you became
exactly.
a fairly big star.
famous,
You know, it was just a different era, and I knew that I had to win it. I had to get off the road, because all I was doing at that time was travelling with the band night after night after night. And that's okay when you're 16, 17.
Sure.
But when you start to get commitments and you start to get a bit older, I just wanted more than that, you know. So I wanted to win Eurovision.
Sure.
Now, the way I balance that up is, if you have a young footballer, for instance,
Yeah.
and he doesn't score on his first match, do you say, all right, you're not coming back?
No,
you don't.
Of course you
no,
don't.
you don't.
Yeah.
You just keep on and keep on and keep on until something clicks.
Obviously, something did click then
Something did,
in
yeah.
1992. Then when you came back with Why Me, won the national final, and then went on to Sweden of all places.
I know.
Yeah, I think we call that karma. Yeah. So you went to Malmo then, because the contest was there that year. What was the run-up, the week of the run-up to the actual final? Because we were pretty much held in high regard that year going into the competition.
Yes, we were. They were talking about Michael Ball. They were
right.
talking about Malta.
That's right.
We called her Rising Down. I'll tell you why in a minute. But anyway, nothing rude or anything like that. But there were three songs being talked about. And of course, you're mingling with everybody, and I'm still a great friend of Michael Ball's. He's a lovely guy.
Are you?
Ah, yes. We had great crack with them. Great crack. And we just found out that, yes, you know they have the polls. You know, the Eurovision clubs and things have the polls. And there we were. And we were up in the top. And it seemed to vary from day to day. 1 minute we'd be first, and then the next day Michael Ball would be first.
Sure.
So we were sort of jiggling around there. But Terry Wogan arrived to do the commentary and arrived for rehearsals and everything. And he came over to him and he just said, I think you're going to do it. He says, but they pay me in the UK, right?
So I can't say
yes,
otherwise.
absolutely. But there was another man. You know they have the red carpet event
Yes.
to welcome all the delegations. Well, that night and that year, Christian Clausen was the guy in charge of Eurovision.
Yeah.
A lovely man, such a nice man. And at the civic reception, he said, I think this year Ireland will win. You know, and he says, shh. You know, because he wasn't allowed to be biased. He wasn't allowed to be. But at the same time, being incredibly boring about it, I didn't get my hopes up at all. I really didn't.
Did you not?
No, I didn't.
Because I can always remember, because you know the way RT used to do the show before the actual Eurovision, showing all the other entries that were there that year. And at the very end, they had Johnny Logan talking about the song, and Johnny said, we're going to do it this year. We're really going to do it this year.
Yes.
And my distinct memory from 1992 is because the Swedish TV kept going to the green room and you could see them there, and you were there with your scorecard, and I was going just like I was at home with my RT guide filling out the scorecard,
and probably the only sober one in the Irish contingent. I tell you that as well.
How did you feel when you knew? Because I think it was like come the second last jury we knew we'd won then. How did you feel? Because it was obviously it's a dream come true for you.
Euphoric.
Yeah.
Really, and Kevin Lennon was the head of our delegation that year, and he had me holding me down under the table because I wanted to jump up and shout. And of course you can't, because it would have been, in hindsight, it would have been incredibly rude. But at the same time, I knew we had won, and this lot all around me, the delegation, they've been celebrating because they ply you with, at least they did then. They're plying you with drink and everything, you know. So you're having a great time, and everybody's nerves are flying. But I do remember that night when Johnny arrived. And he has sort of carte blanche to go where he wants in Eurovision. You know, he doesn't need a laminate. He just sort of drifts around. And he arrived in that day, and he was looking at the scoreboard, and down the left-hand side, he says, maybe not. And then he looked across you, he says, the right-hand side. And he was correct.
Right. He was right.
Because do you remember, was it Spain?
Spain gave us 1 point the first point of the night.
But then Turkey, didn't Turkey give us the first 12?
The first 12, that's
and
right.
I've worked extensively in Turkey since the 80s, you see.
There you go.
So, but anyway, it was euphoric.
It was an amazing moment.
Just incredible. And the Irish, of course, they scattered the security guards and stormed the stage. There was no stopping the Irish.
No stopping them
night,
once they got there.
And it was just a great celebration because they have the dinner afterwards.
That's
but
right.
you don't get time to eat because you're doing everything with the press.
You're doing so many press.
And then I saw the carts of champagne being wheeled into the suite in the hotel, and we partied all night. Nobody went
fantastic.
to bed, and we'd Larry Gogan and Pat Kenny and Louis was there with me, and you know, it was just unbelievable. An unbelievable experience.
You've mentioned a few people's names there. Obviously, Mr. Eurovision, Johnny Logan himself.
Yes.
Yourself, Johnny obviously wrote Terminal 3, and he wrote Why Me, and obviously had his own success with his own song as well, Hold Me Now, and obviously with Johnny Healy and that. I mean, it's such a wonderful working relationship that yourself and Johnny have with each other. How did that come about, you know?
Well, it's dead easy. We were both managed by Louis Walsh.
Really?
And I'm going way back to the late 70s,
right,
when there was cabarets and things like that. We'd always find ourselves on the same bill.
Wow.
And Johnny at that stage, he's a very accomplished guitar player, so he used to be playing guitar and singing. And we found that we just became friendly. And then Louis managed Johnny right through What's Another Year.
That's right.
Hold Me Now. He was looking after me with Terminal 3 and Why Me, of course. And you either click with somebody or you don't. And Johnny and I just became good friends. And just at the beginning of February this year, he turned up at my special award. The Variety Club gave me a Lifetime Achievement Award. And there's only 3 people have got it. And it was Maureen Potter, Pete St. John, and myself. So he arrived with Red Hurley. I adore his voice. I just love him. So he arrived, and the two of them were up singing and everything, you know. And he was there for me. He just said, "I wanted to be here for your special day." And he's just been a very good friend, a very loyal friend, because he could have given that song to anybody. When you think about it,
sure.
But you know, I've often said to people, you need a great team around you.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Johnny and myself had Louis Walsh. Johnny was a great guy for talking to the different delegations and things, you know, because they have such respect for him in Europe. And it's just that outer circle working on your behalf.
On your behalf, exactly.
It's just brilliant.
But I think there's obviously a very good chemistry there, because it's almost like you can interpret his songs extremely well, you know.
Well, I think I take direction very well.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. I know that. And a singer-songwriter will tell you, nobody ever sings the song the way they do, because it's coming from their heart, obviously. So they sing it and they know exactly what they want. Now, a lot of singers or people in the entertainment business would just say, "I'm doing it my way."
Sure.
I'm not like that. And Johnny had said to me, "Look," he says, "I know where this song's coming from," and he says, "if you can interpret it and sort of get it onto the wave band, or whatever way you want to put it, that I'm working on," he says, we'll get a good track. So it was listening to him, and trying to apply what he wanted, because it's his song,
his song,
know.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's why we work well together.
Well, obviously 1992 to now, it's your 20th anniversary of your win.
It's incredible, isn't it?
It's unbelievable.
It's like yesterday.
Well, you still look as if it is yesterday. You look fantastic, you know. You do.
That's a soft lens on my camera.
I hope that one's a blind lens then. But there's been a lot of changes in Eurovision since 1992.
Yes.
You know, from not having an orchestra to the voting, like juries and public vote, to so many other countries now within Eurovision. How do you think the contest has progressed over the 20 years since you were last in?
Well, I cry for the lack of orchestra. That was just so criminal. But I understand the economics, all right. I do understand that, and I do understand that you have to replicate tracks.
Sure.
And an orchestra on a ballad is magnificent. It's beautiful.
Really is.
But an orchestra trying to do a big club disco song, well, that's not so good.
Exactly.
It's not so good. But I do remember lamenting that. It turned, for a couple of years, it turned into the 3-minute cabaret act, and I didn't like that. But now I think it's starting to turn full circle. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the last few years, if you look at the finalists, you'll find there's a very simple ballad in there, or there's a very simple pop song.
Exactly.
Without all the bells and whistles that are going around it. But having said that, I mean, there's going to be bells and whistles this year, so I shouldn't have said that. But I do remember in '92 there was the Galleon on stage.
That's right.
Right.
That was the backdrop. Yes.
Noel Keelan, God rest him.
So.
Oh my goodness, did I love that man. And Eurovision loved him because he'd been there so many times, and the respect those musicians, because in those days the musicians all travelled, so they all knew one another.
Exactly.
And he'd be standing there, the cigarette would be hanging out of his mouth as usual, and he'd be tapping the baton and ready and everything up, and it was just magical. So you had the Galleon, the orchestra, backing singers, everything, and then there was a little puff of smoke came out the Galleon's nose, and that was the special effect. And you just think back, oh, how green were we? But Kevin Lennon, our head of delegation, made sure that there was the smoked salmon, the brown bread, the Guinness, and the Irish whiskey. Excellent. And that was all brought over for our all-night party, along with the Irish buskers that we found in Malmo. I swear to you. And then Kevin had lunch with the production company. And we all saw the camera shots, and Kevin was sort of thinking, well, maybe not a great shot from the back, but if you could sort of swivel that around. And it was just like I've said to you before about attitude. He cajoled, he plumosed them, and we got the shots that we wanted. You know, but just great memories. And then you think right up to now, and you think of the special effects.
Are
you
huge.
Think, I had a puff of smoke and a spotlight. But anyway.
But I think in regards to, we're now into 2012, and obviously this year we have the wonderful Jedward back again with us at Eurovision, and you were their mentor in Eurosong, and you're still mentoring them now. How did you become involved in the mentoring process for the Eurosong final? Okay,
well, in a nutshell, I think most people know now that Louis phoned and said, crash course these guys in show business, which is what I did. And we clicked. I loved their attitude. We just got it, and they took it in. You see, people have the wrong impression about Jedward. They think they're foolish. They're not foolish.
No,
they're not. They've got lots of energy, but they're not foolish. And they got entertainment with a capital E immediately.
Sure.
And then they applied what they were told. So Louis took them over, but everybody knows that story. But we just remain friends. And we turn up at different things, or I keep in contact with them. I know the family and everybody quite well now at this stage. But they did so well last year that whenever they were sort of mentioned for Eurovision again, Louis was very happy with that. And I just got the call from RTE. Julian Vinyals called me, and he said, would you be interested? And I said, well, I can say yes, but I got to get permission from Louis. He's their manager. So I phoned Louis and I said, what do you think? And he said, yes, if you want to do it, go ahead. And Jedward are yours. And it was sort of like, oh, right, okay. That was very simple. So told RTE, yes, it's all systems go. And then they said, okay, just keep quiet until we announce everything.
Sure.
And then the songs started to come in when it was announced. And I think I'd nearly 100 songs sent to me.
Wow.
All over, not only Ireland, England,
from abroad.
everywhere. And there were some wonderful big ballads come in as well.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, now that's a fabulous song, but that's not
suitable.
Jedward.
Yeah, exactly.
No. I know exactly what I'm looking for. And I'm sort of starting to bite the nails, and I'm thinking, God, there's nothing going to turn up until
Waterline.
Nick Jarl sent me Waterline, and it was like I was listening to it in my kitchen on the laptop, when it
Okay,
first
yeah.
arrived, and I'm sort of like, right, oh, there is a God, yes, and I loved it as soon as I heard it, and I sent it across to Louis straight away, and he loved it.
Brilliant.
And then Jed's got it. Thankfully they did
And
as
they
well.
loved
Yes,
it as well.
Absolutely. And then they put out all the wrong information. Did you see that on Twitter
It
and
was
everything?
going to be what's your number? Was the name.
They were
Yes,
fooling everybody to try and put everybody off the scent. But it was Waterline, and I loved it. And I'm being very honest when I say that even though I probably heard it a couple of hundred times at this stage, I still love the song.
Yes, so do I actually.
And it's just got that. And you know something? It's a step up for Jedward, because it is actually a love song. Waterline's
exactly,
a metaphor for for falling in love and everything. Just brilliant for
I
them.
was going to say that, like, last year Lipstick was
Yes.
I think that's a fantastically crafted pop song.
Yes.
But it suited Jedward for back then. I know it's only a year ago, but it had a bit of a novelty factor, and they were new to Europe,
Correct.
This is a more mature pop song, but it's still great. I mean,
I think so.
And I think what it does this time also is it crosses the different age barriers. I know, young kids from 5 years of age, like my niece, all the way up to 85-year-olds, grannies and granddads, love the song.
Yes.
And it just seems to transcend. And this year, Jedward seemed to transcend that as well. You know what I mean?
Well, they've
More
matured.
people-
They're now 20 years of age.
That's it.
The voices have broken properly
Yep.
now, and they've strengthened and matured, because you're probably not aware of it. They've very powerful voices.
Oh, yeah.
Let one of them sing beside you, which they did during one of the rehearsals, and it was like, whoa, hey, so they had to learn all those tricks about modulating your voice
Sure.
with dynamics in it during the song and everything, but they have now matured, and they've just got better and better. Their harmonies have got better and better, and they were just a dream to work with, an absolute dream, because you make suggestions and they say, yeah, let's try that, and you work together, and then all I have to do is I say, Jeds, have you sorted out your costumes? Oh yeah, we're doing that, and they design themselves.
Okay.
The designs are sent to Venetia in England, and Venetia is a larger than life woman who has an amazing talent for creating these costumes out of drawings that the boys send her, but she does dancing.
I was dancing with.
What do you call it? Strictly Come
Strictly
Dancing.
Dancing.
She's been around doing big shows for a lot of years, and I've met her now. She's wonderful, big personality, but she creates these costumes, and all they say to me is, "There it is," and I say, "Fabulous as usual." So you
Excellent.
don't have to do anything.
They-
They get it.
They get
They
it.
get it. And can we do a somersault there? I said, no, don't do a somersault there. Keep your somersault to the end, But it's wonderful, because a lot of times singers who are trying to be credible, oh no, I'm not doing that.
Sure.
And it's just wrong. You got to say yes, and you got to try it. Well, with
course you do.
Jeds, you're sort of saying, well, don't try everything.
Exactly.
Let's just do a little bit.
Exactly. I just love their energy, and I love their passion, and they really love Eurovision themselves, and they know their Eurovision trivia and history as well.
Absolutely.
And I was really surprised at that. They're able to name off songs. I go, oh gosh, yeah, not a lot of
There you
people
go.
would know that. I suppose in the run up to Baku itself, you were saying getting the team to support you
Yes.
and getting them around and that. Have you looked at choreography, the backdrop and things like that? Because I know they've
Yes.
been releasing the actual stage design
Yes.
now, and it's going to be one of the biggest
I've seen
ever
it, I've
Eurovision
seen it.
stages
Yeah.
ever, and the most expensive Eurovision ever. 50 million, I think they're spending on it. No recession in Baku at the
Oh,
moment.
and
Yeah,
I had a light and a puff of smoke.
I know.
That's what I'm trying to say to you. Well, let me put it this way. Over the last 3 years, we've done pantomime together, Jedward and
Yep.
myself, and it's always under Spotlight Productions.
Okay.
So Stuart O'Connor owns the company, and he's the choreographer.
Okay.
I think he's a bit of a genius, really.
Yeah.
So when all of this was organised with RTE, I had to put my people in place, and to be quite honest with you, there wasn't anybody else in the picture. I rang Stuart and I said, I need a
Sure.
word,
Yeah.
and I told him, and I said, now, he said, yeah. He couldn't get the words out
Yeah,
quick
quick
enough,
enough.
but I knew that he does the tours with Jedward as well, you
Sure,
see, so
yeah.
he knows the boys very well. They have a great working relationship. And he took over the choreography. there was no bother to him, and he has it sorted out. Backing vocalists, believe it or believe it not, a lot of the ones that I wanted were signed to The Voice.
No way.
Yes. So the
So they weren't
automatic,
available.
absolutely. So a lot of the automatic ones, when I rang them and I said, and I said, oh, we can't because we're signed to The Voice. So we have 4 amazing backing vocalists.
Yeah.
The Leanne Moore from last year.
Yes.
And she was on the top of the list anyway because I wanted Leanne. Claire O'Malley.
Yes.
And Claire did pantomime with us last year.
Okay.
But she's just back after 5 years in Philadelphia. Drama, music,
Wow.
dance. And I've heard her sing and she's amazing.
Fantastic.
So she was second on my list. And then we have Shane Greavy and Julian Edwards. Julian has done a lot in the West End now. A lot. And he's a super guy with an amazing voice. So there's my wall of sound.
That's your wall of sound, yeah.
And once I knew I had them, and if a bomb dropped, it wouldn't matter. Those 4 will continue to sing and sing so spectacularly
Spectacularly well.
in tune as well.
Yeah.
So then I went to Mark Rogers,
Okay.
and Mark does a lot of wardrobe stuff around pantomime as well as Jedward's tour and things
Sure.
like that. So I rang him and I said, come on, let's have throw a few ideas around. So we ended up sorting the backing singers out with their costumes for Eurosong.
Okay.
And like I say, the boys do their own thing. I don't
thing.
have to worry about that. And then it was putting the special effects around them.
Around them as well.
Yes.
I think what everybody's talking about is that because Lipstick was a visual feast last year as well, and it actually won one of the actual Eurovision awards
Yes,
by the
that's right,
commentators
that's
last
right.
year, and I was so happy for Jedward getting that, because it was just like, you know, it's about time you get recognition, guys, for the hard work that you do and the effort you put in. Do you feel there's some pressure on yourself and the guys this year to do as well, if not hopefully better, you know, than last year, and how are you managing with that?
Well, you have it in a nutshell. Of course there's pressure,
Yeah.
because they finished 8th last year, like
Yeah.
everybody knows, but I want to take them higher this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I want the ultimate, if the truth be known, but I definitely want them to go higher, and I think it's possible. I do think it's possible. It's there with me all the time, but I do work well under pressure anyway.
Okay.
And like today, we're meeting today in the full knowledge that we're having a great conversation, but this is going out right across Europe, and hopefully there'll be people going to vote and, you know, remember
Exactly.
this is Jedward, oh, there's Linda, we remember her, etc., etc.
Exactly.
But pressure has to be contained.
Yes.
And if I get frazzled, the boys will get frazzled. So our team Jedward, as we call it, we've been around together now for the 3 years. So our choreographer, our wardrobe, makeup, hair, everything. Our little unit moves from location to location, and it's very calm. It's very
Good.
quiet, but it's a little bit of fun as well.
Sure.
And we all get on very, very well together. And I think that is what's going to take us right through. Because you remember the press last year, they besieged the boys. They were
Completely.
outside the hotel. They were
Yep.
everywhere. So Baku, I believe, number one, is quite beautiful.
Yes.
And I want to take advantage of the old city and everything. And I just think this year will be a little bit different because there's no pub culture as far as I understand.
right.
So everybody will have a little bit more freedom. And because Jedward don't drink and don't be in pubs, they'll be able to go out and mingle and do all these different things
Sure.
that they possibly couldn't do last year because it was just a different environment. But we're under control. Team Jedward
Team
are
Jedward.
there, and it's I don't know how to explain. Everybody is 110% behind the boys,
Sure.
and all we can do is do everything possible
Sure.
for them,
For them.
and hopefully we will do better.
I really think that we have a strong chance this year. I really,
So do I.
really do.
You know the way you have gut feelings
Yeah.
about things, and you know when you think about it, the extensive work the boys have done in Europe since last year.
I was just about to say that
Yes.
they have been touring Europe non-stop.
Correct.
And they have been building their fan base
Yes.
completely. And of all artists that I've ever come across, whether or not it be Eurovision or otherwise, how they treat their fans is unbelievable. They know them on first name basis.
Correct.
As I said, I met them on Tuesday night. I didn't even have to introduce myself. I was like, hey, it's Garrett.
I know that.
And
I know
said,
that.
"Okay, how's it going, guys?" Yeah.
Do you see the costumes and shoes that the fans design and make for them
exactly,
and everything?
yeah.
Just incredible, really incredible. And I think most of that stuff goes off to hospitals and things to the kids, you know, because they've mountains of gifts. But their dedication to their fans is something. The dedication. I've never seen it before, because you're having a break for something to eat. They're not having a break. They're out at the line and they're talking to their fans and signing autographs. And that, you see, they're so single-minded about their careers, and I've not seen it before. You know, I'll be looking for a cup of tea, but the boys aren't. They're out and doing their thing. And that's payback time. That's whenever the fans are going to pick up the phone and vote for them.
They've got a great work ethic, and I don't think people give them enough credit for that.
Incredible. And you know, I'm not just talking about the fact that they wear athletes. That's a different sort of energy level, but I can't explain it. It's just they're always in good form. Their diet is really healthy. They don't drink, they don't smoke, I haven't even heard them swearing, God, and I mean, I swear like a trooper from time to time, but they haven't there's nothing like that. They are just so wonderful role models for young kids. And everything is standing by them now. It's payback time, because people realise that they are actually nice boys, and they're actually two smart cookies. Don't ever
underestimate them.
No. And well reared.
Yeah.
Mammy Jed, and we call Susanna Mammy Jed, and I think she'd have put manners on them, you know, and we just say Mammy, and she sorts it out. Absolutely. But you know, it has stood by them, and they're lovely. And you know, we just couldn't wish for any more for the boys. Seriously, it's world domination.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't it?
In regards to, have you seen any of the competition this year?
Oh, I've seen Sweden, Euphoria. And that dancing thing is fabulous. It's
very
fabulous.
Kate Bush, isn't it?
It's very. Her movements are very, very Kate Bush, which takes me right back to Lindsay Kemp and Marcel Marceau again, right?
Yeah.
But that's a big club anthem, I think, isn't it?
It really is.
Yes. So I'm liking that. But I'm getting various opinions. Oh, Engelbert.
Now, what did you think when you heard that the UK were sending Engelbert over?
Well, that didn't faze me. Maybe if I was 16 years of age, it would. But Engelbert to me still is a big star. My mother loved him. Oh, my mum adored him. And they showed old footage when he was in white. He had the cravat and the white suit. And my goodness, he was magnificent. But, you know, when I heard the song, and I have listened to it a couple of times, it's a very nice song.
Very nice song.
A very simple ballad, well crafted. And he does deliver.
He really does.
That's one to watch as well.
Yeah. And have you seen the grannies from Russia?
Yes.
They're
Bless. I know.
They're really great, I have to admit.
Yeah.
Their background story is fantastic, you know, in regards to where they've come from, you know, and how they started off. They started off as singing to get donations for the roof of their local church.
There you go.
You know, and it's just grown from there. Will you be keeping a close eye in the competition then when you're over there for the 2 weeks before the actual contest?
You betcha. You betcha now. I'll be watching everybody. See, in my book, everybody is a contender.
Exactly, yeah.
You don't dismiss anybody.
You can never tell what's going to work.
No, you can't. And everybody has a chance.
Yes.
So just because somebody is maybe the older age bracket or somebody is whatever, you don't ever dismiss them, not in Eurovision.
Yeah.
So I'll have to listen and watch.
Exactly.
But where was the boys? I meant to tell you about a concert the boys did in Belarus.
Okay.
They did a television show with an orchestra in Belarus. 18 million viewers.
No way.
Now, we forget about all of these things. Do you remember the Russian who won a couple of years ago?
Balan.
Yes. You see, he is an enormous star, selling millions of CDs.
Yeah.
Here in Ireland, we think we're the be-all and end-all.
Sure.
We forget that there's a big world out there with superstars in those countries.
Yeah.
That guy is a million seller.
Exactly.
You know, people in Belarus, huge country, and then we're going to Baku, and look, it's beside Baku. We've got Turkey, we've got the Caspian Sea, then we've got Baku, right?
Yeah.
So we've got Turkey, where I've worked in for a long, long time, and hopefully they're going to be watching Jedward and think, oh, Linda's looking after them, we'll give them a few votes. But these countries are huge, and the boys have been working extensively in them. I think they were in Sweden and
They were in Sweden, Estonia, Austria.
last weekend. I'm just talking about last weekend. They
They
were
were in Sweden
and Copenhagen.
and Copenhagen.
Yes.
That's right. Wow.
Yeah, and they have a huge fan base in the UK. So hopefully the
Hopefully we
UK
get
are going
the
to look
good
after
success.
us.
Okay. Well, look, Linda, thank you so much for your
It's
time
been a
today.
pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
It's been my pleasure. They always say you should never meet any of your idols because they never live up to it. You've surpassed that
Oh.
for me. So thank you very much indeed.
Oh, not at all. No, I've enjoyed every minute.
And I'll be there in Baku supporting the guys. I'm going, yes.
Are you?
I am.
Oh,
Of course
for the
we're going
2 weeks?
For the 2 weeks, yes.
My goodness.
So I'll be there.
Dare I ask what hotel you're staying?
You can ask all you want because I haven't got one as of yet.
Shouldn't you book?
We're trying to at the moment.
Oh
and
my
I'm
goodness.
and I'm almost like having my own mini Eurovision because I'm having friends from the different countries. We're trying to get an
Yes.
apartment together. So
Oh, that's a good idea.
that's
a
a good
very
idea.
good idea.
Exactly.
But Baku, I'm getting reports back, and I believe it is quite spectacular.
It's supposed to be
You know,
fantastic.
and they've thrown everything at
Everything
this
at the
contest. There's
contest.
nothing left to chance. I know that we have our coach which is going to take people around,
Sure.
but we're all allocated a BMW with a driver 24/7.
Fantastic.
So that's, you know, they're looking after every little aspect of it.
Well, I might look for a lift then.
And our hotel has 3 pools.
And I'd be looking to use one of them as well.
Yes, and when you see the thing on the internet of the hotel, you can see my sunbed there. You can just see it says Linda's bed.
I don't think you should tell people what hotel you're in because you'll be besieged by thousands of Jedward
I'm
fans.
I'm not going to do
No,
that. I'm
don't.
not going to do that. But it's very nice. It really is very nice. And do you know, I'm going to meet Nikki next month. You know, Nikki that represented Azerbaijan last year.
Yes.
And we're working together in Newcastle.
Wow.
And Louis knows her quite well at this stage, so I'm going to get an introduction, and hopefully she'll be able to say, now when you're in Baku, you got to go here, there, whatever.
Excellent.
Restaurants, doesn't matter what it
Oh,
is.
fantastic.
Yes, so now I'm looking forward to that.
Well, hopefully that'll bring some more votes in for us as well.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so.
exactly.
You know, but the boys have worked extensively, and I think their fan base is actually spread out.
It really has.
You know, and I've worked after Eurovision. We just disappeared for 6 months, and you go off around the countries, Lithuania, Croatia. It doesn't
Sure.
matter. You just move from country to country, and there might be a few grannies or grandas there that might remember me and say, "Oh, well, sure, we'll give them a few votes because of her."
Don't be so silly. Well, look, the very best of luck in
Thank
Baku,
you so
and we'll
much.
be there flying the flag with you.
Thank you.
And thank you for your time
Not
today.
at all. It's
Linda.
been a pleasure.
Thank you.